The moment I overheard her voice on the phone, sharp and careless, my world cracked like glass under a hammer. "He's just a wallet, Jen," she said, her laugh slicing through the quiet of our dimly lit kitchen. "I mean, come on, I'm not stupid. He's good for the bills, the trips, the house. But love. Please." My hand froze on the fridge handle, the cold seeping into my bones as her words burned into my heart. I stood there, invisible in my own home, a stranger to the woman I'd vowed to cherish. For 8 years, I'd built my life around Emily. Every late night at the office, every extra shift, every dollar saved, it was for us. For the dream of a family, a future, a love I thought was mutual. I was 34, a logistics manager with a decent salary, nothing flashy but enough to keep us comfortable. Emily, with her quick smile and hazel eyes that seemed to hold 1,000 secrets, had been my anchor. Or so I thought. That night, standing in the shadows of our kitchen, I realized I'd been nothing more than a means to an end. The next morning, I watched her over breakfast, searching for cracks in the facade. She stirred her coffee, her movements as graceful as ever, her face soft with the same warmth she'd always shown me. "You okay, Matt?" she asked, her brow furrowing slightly. "You look tired." "Just didn't sleep well," I said, my voice steady despite the storm inside. I wanted to confront her, to demand why she'd reduced me to a paycheck, but something held me back. Fear, maybe. Or the desperate hope that I'd misheard, that this was all a mistake. Instead, I smiled faintly and went to work, the weight of her words pressing against my chest. Days passed, and I became a detective in my own marriage. I noticed things I'd ignored before, the way her phone was always face down, the late-night texts she dismissed as work stuff, the new dresses and jewelry I hadn't bought her. Each clue was a shard in my gut, but I needed proof. I wasn't ready to lose her. Not yet. So, I did something I swore I'd never do. I checked her phone while she showered, my hands trembling as I scrolled through her messages. There it was, in black and white. Texts to a guy named Ryan. Flirty. Intimate. Cruel. "Matt's working late again. Oh. More time for us. He's so clueless, it's almost sad. Can't wait to see you tonight." My vision blurred, not from tears but from rage, from the sheer humiliation of being played. I put the phone back, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. That night, when she said she was meeting a friend for drinks, I didn't stop her. I let her walk out, her heels clicking on the hardwood, oblivious to the fact that I was unraveling. I spent weeks planning, my grief hardening into resolve. I wasn't going to confront her. Not yet. I wanted her to feel the weight of my absence, to understand what she'd thrown away. I started by untangling our finances. We had a joint account, but I'd been the one funding it. Quietly, I opened a new account in my name, transferring my savings bit by bit. I canceled the credit cards she used, paid off the mortgage on our house, and put it in my name alone. Every step was methodical, a way to reclaim the power she'd stripped from me. I wasn't cruel, I left her enough to get by, but I wasn't going to be her ATM anymore. The hardest part was the silence. I stopped asking about her day, stopped reaching for her hand, stopped pretending everything was fine. She noticed, of course. "What's wrong with you lately?" she snapped one evening, her arms crossed as she stood in our living room. The same room where we'd danced to old jazz records, where we'd planned our future. Now it felt like a stage for a play that had ended. "Nothing's wrong," I said, my voice flat. "Just busy." She rolled her eyes. "You're always busy. Maybe if you cared a little more about us." Us. I cut in, unable to stop myself. The word hung in the air, heavy with irony. Her eyes widened, but she didn't push. She just turned away, muttering something about me being impossible. I wanted to scream, to shake her, to ask how she could lie so easily. But I didn't. I had a plan, and I was going to see it through. The final piece was the hardest. I found a small apartment across town, a place she'd never find. I packed my things slowly, taking only what mattered: my clothes, a few books, the watch my dad gave me before he passed. Each item felt like a goodbye to the life I'd thought we'd have. On the last night, I sat at our kitchen table, writing a letter. I poured everything into it. My love, my pain, my betrayal. You called me a wallet, Emily, I wrote. But I was your husband. I loved you with everything I had, and you broke that. I'm done being your fool. I left the letter on the counter, next to her favorite coffee mug, and walked out. I disappeared. No forwarding address, no new number, no trace. I quit my job, took a remote position with a company halfway across the country, and started over. The first few weeks were agony. I'd wake up reaching for her, only to remember she wasn't there. I'd see her face in strangers, hear her laugh in crowded rooms. But I didn't go back. I couldn't. She'd made her choice, and I'd made mine. Months later, I heard through a mutual friend that she'd been blindsided. She'd come home to an empty house, my letter shaking in her hands. Apparently, she'd cried, screamed, called everyone we knew, but I was gone. The house was hers. She could sell it, keep it, whatever. I didn't care. Ryan, it turned out, wasn't interested in a relationship without the perks my money had provided. She was alone now, just as I was. But my solitude was different. It was raw, yes, but it was mine. I started running in the mornings, the rhythm of my feet against the pavement grounding me. I read books I'd never had time for, cooked meals for one, sat in coffee shops watching the world move on. Slowly, the ache in my chest dulled. I wasn't healed, not yet, but I was free. One night, nearly a year later, I got a text from an unknown number. Matt, it's me. I'm so sorry. Please, can we talk? My thumb hovered over the screen, my heart racing. Part of me wanted to answer, to hear her voice, to believe she'd changed. But then I remembered her laugh, her words, the way she'd made me feel small. I deleted the message and blocked the number. I wasn't her wallet anymore. I was Matt, flawed, human, and finally enough for myself. As I stood on my balcony, the city lights sprawling below, I felt something I hadn't in years. Peace. The bank was closed, and I was gone. But for the first time, I was exactly where I needed to be.